Hello, everyone. It's Christy Bird McKeeve, CEO and GME Administrator of Healthy Rural California. We are a consortium model nonprofit that was just launched. Our organization was launched in 2020, and we have just received our first initial accreditation of our first specialty residency. And today is April 28th, I think. It's Friday of 2023. Today, I really just wanted to spend a bit of time on the application accreditation process, or kind of really talking about the fluidity of accreditation of graduate medical education programs. So that's then I have GME Decision-making Tree, which is really more of a river flowing over time. So a tree seems much more set in, solid, if you will. And so there is a certain amount of solid that is needed to have a ACGME accredit both an institution and the residency programs themselves. And so I just wanted to talk about it because we're in the middle of something right now in Chico, which is the northern part of Butte County, and it's where Healthy Rural California is located. And it is all of this graduate medical education work that we've been doing has come from the community themselves saying, we need this in order to better help our community and our patients. And I will remind everyone that we started down this path in 2019 following the Camp Fire, which was across the highway or just up the hill, I should say, from Chico. The fire was in Paradise, which many of us do remember still. So to just say some things is that Healthy Rural California is already a sponsoring institution accredited by ACGME with a now accredited psychiatry residency. And so we had to go through this very sort of fluid and yet solid application process last year. And you really do have to submit an application for accreditation that is showing that you have the faculty with board certification in the facilities that can handle all of the residents per ACGME guidelines. And so there's this sort of tension between what you need to submit to show that, yes, this is what the residents will experience. And I'm going to focus on family medicine, which is a 3-year curriculum. And where are those rotations going to be met and who will be teaching them? And has everyone agreed to the goals and objectives so that those residents will be taught according to ACGME guidelines? So we are looking to establish this family medicine residency for the first cohort matriculating in 2025. The first cohort of the psychiatry residency will matriculate in 2024. And so all of these, again, were decisions made by our medical community in 2019 and 2020. And the general decision, the first decision was psychiatry, and then some sort of primary care to address the increasing access to care issues in the region. So if we had not taken these steps at that time and raised the $5 million in launch funds, this primary hospital that we're working with for the family medicine residencies, Enloe Medical Center, Enloe would have had to be doing all of these steps, at least for family medicine, and then or if Enloe Medical Center were to start now, these steps would have to be taken and not have any residents starting until 2029. So we're really proud of the work that we've done, and also proud to be partnering with Enloe Medical Center to pursue the accreditation of this family medicine residency. And then having these residents is just a tremendous advantage for the community, and also strengthening the medical education pathway in the region. I've been doing a lot in this space of how medical education transforms community and all of that. I also wanted to state that if for Healthy Rural California to have the psychiatry and family medicine residents, this will be driving about $5 million per year to the region forevermore, as long as we have the residency programs. And these will also bring more highly paid people to the region, which is part of the economic development plans that we have. So it's all really important work and very good to be doing all of this. Enloe Medical Center will also derive revenue by having CMS reimbursement rates. And just this morning, we had a discussion about how Enloe leaders could go to Reading to see the family medicine residencies, because there's two, with Shasta Community Health Center and then with the Mercy Hospital as well. There are two separate family medicine residencies. And so that kind of can give a sense of how a community said 20 years ago when they established the first family medicine residency at Mercy, now Dignity Health, how, it just takes time, but in the end, revenue does actually happen, especially with CMS reimbursement rates for GME naive hospitals. Anyway, I wanted to be clear about this decision-making tree because I know it's a big one, and we're sort of lucky, a little bit lucky, I think, in Healthy Rural California, in that we were just founded. We are a nonprofit, we're small, and we can be nimble in making these decisions. And for us, it was a commitment from our boards. It was a priority given to us. And we really actually don't have any other clinical operations that would take our time away from marching forward with establishing graduate medical education in this community. So we're kind of lucky that way, and we acknowledge that, and I do appreciate it greatly. So our family medicine application must be submitted in the next 2 months, and that would be an ideal time frame for 2025 matriculation. Part of that time frame would be almost a year's worth of recruiting the residents into the ARAS program, which results in the match day in March 2025. And then, there's other things related into the decision-making for Enloe Medical Center to step into this family medicine residency. There's all these other things, the CAP countdown for 5 years between 2025 and 2030. The initial feasibility study, which looks to be moving forward, will be a great roadmap for Enloe Medical Center. And that Healthy Rural California, working with Partnership Health Plan to sponsor this study, is about $60,000. And that we also understand that Enloe might have some facility adjustments, and that we're looking to spend that $10,000. But those don't necessarily mean that what we develop in the next few months to submit for accreditation is set in stone forevermore. Accreditation is such that we have to, so Healthy Rural California is a sponsoring institution, we have to submit a lot of different documents to maintain our accreditation, to update. And it's as simple as faculty retire, or they move out of the area, or they leave one entity and move to another, but they want to still continue teaching the residents at that other entity. And so you have to have a program letter of agreement at every entity that has faculty teaching the residents. So, we're going to be constantly updating this paperwork and doing these program letters of agreement and making sure the goals and objectives for that particular rotation are understood and being taught. And I have a 2 o'clock I have to jump on. But anyway, just there's a certain amount of fluidity over time. And that this slide discusses how, right, we're setting up the family medicine this way right now. And we sort of have to freeze frame that as we go through the next 8 to 12 months, as we go through the accreditation process. We hopefully submit no later than, let's just say June 15th. to ACGME, and then ACGME says, okay, we're going to have a site visit, and it's going to be October 12th. And so then they're verifying that what we submitted in June matches what they're saying. So there's not a lot of fluidity in the application for accreditation timeframe. But once we get initial accreditation, the never-ending process of updating the program letters of agreement and all of the decisions that are made around residency programs, it will change. We have to be prepared for that. And so what this slide really talks about is that it's possible that in 10 years' time, Enloe Medical Center says, okay, we really want to become our own sponsoring institution, and we want to be the sponsoring institution for these residency programs. And then it takes 4 to 5 years of first this sponsoring institution and application cycle, and then that particular specialty that you want to have. And so I think it's better to look at it as we're going to be in this partnership with Enloe, Healthy Rural California. We should meet every year at a very high level and just say, look, this is everything okay, right? And so family medicine currently with Healthy Rural California as a sponsoring institution. But really, we have this other thing now that we have going on, and we really want to have Enloe be the sponsoring institution. And that's fine. We would choose then in Healthy Rural California to phase out that residency program. We can't just shut it out. You can't just shut down ACGME. That is like their worst example is to just shut down and leave the residents hanging mid-flight, if you will. That would be the absolute worst that we could do. So rather, like, okay, so Enloe wants to be the sponsoring institution in 10 years' time for that family medicine residency. But meanwhile, this has happened in the community. So then our sponsoring institution at Healthy Rural California would go, okay, family medicine is going to shift here or not, or choose to phase out that residency program. There are many different fluid situations that could be in the future. And it's not to say that we don't want commitment and we don't want to have a solid application to ACGME right here, right now. But honestly, I don't know. There are very few examples in a rural community like ours where things like big things aren't changing. Like it right? A residency program, even with a hospital and a medical school next door, say at UC Davis, I'm not picking on UC Davis, any medical school with any hospital, things change. You might increase the number of residents in a program. You might step down. You might shift. So I'll talk a little bit about psychiatry and then I'll sign off. We are starting with the VA of Northern California for year 1. They are the primary hospital for our psychiatry residency. But it's possible that Butte County Behavioral Health would have enough psychiatrists on site in 10 to 15 years' time where that primary hospital might actually shift into Butte County. Or the VA has a Chico location that's phenomenal. It's a brand new building, really great stuff. And maybe there's some decision that the VA of Northern California makes that says, well, we want 10 psychiatrists in this area, and they could become the primary hospital here in Chico. But, all of those things are, who knows, right? I don't know about you, but my crystal ball is not that clear. And I have no actual predictions for what will happen, but I want Enloe Medical Center, and I just want anybody who's viewing this to know that, a true partnership is you're constantly talking about it. You're working in, check-ins. Is this really working? We are just this moment really trying to figure out where the continuity clinic for the family medicine residency will be. And we have some hopes and dreams. And at this moment, it may not be viable in the one way that we just a couple of weeks ago said, yeah, that would be great. And so we're shifting and we're looking at a different organization to have that continuity clinic. And their situation could change in 10 years, right? So it's, we have to be open-minded and looking at this as a very, very long-term marriage of, decades-long marriage between all of our partners. But for here and now, finalizing the application to the extent that ACGME will accredit us and having it as strong as possible, the great curriculum that will attract residents to the area every single year. And then also setting up those, just partnership meetings going forward. I hope this makes sense, and always ask me questions if something needs more clarification. All right, take care. Bye-bye.